Day 34 on the Shikoku 88 Temple pilgrimage, and today was another non-rush day in which I basically left Matsuyama and headed towards Imabari up the west coast of Shikoku. I say non-rushed even though I still went 18 miles, but I left a little bit late. I had breakfast at 7, left around 7:30. I could have a lingering lunch and didn't have to really rush quickly through meals or to get to the next place. The morning was basically walking through Matsuyama. It's cold. The temperatures dropped into the 40s again. So I was bundled up, but it was now raining and the sun was coming out by the afternoon. Still cold. Had my jacket on most of the day, but it was nice to be out in the sun for parts of it. By mid-morning, I visited my first temple, which was 52. A beautiful temple up on the hill with buildings dating from around 1305. So the main gate and the main hall date from the Kamakura period. And it's, as a historian, great thinking about buildings that have been around for over 700 years. Saw an interesting Ohenro today. He was a motorcycle Ohenro dressed in completely black leather. I visited Temple 52 in the morning, and then 53 was just down the road. I visited that, much smaller, not quite as spectacular as 52, but it was around noon. I was starving, and the closest place I could find was this Okonomiyaki place. It was a godsend. It was actually an old train station turned into an Okonomiyaki restaurant with an actual hot plate in front of you, and you eat with a sort of metal spatula. Because there's no rush, I could linger, eat my lunch. It was one of the few. It was nice having a sit-down meal lunch and just getting your full and leaving. Oftentimes in hiking through the woods or on the Ohenro path, there are not many places to eat, and eating kind of a sandwich or onigiri picked up at a convenience store. Experienced different types of terrain today. The morning was basically walking through Matsuyama, so it's a major city. After lunch, I was going through an industrial park with warehouses and factory type of places. And then the rest of the afternoon was spent walking up the coastline, often on the shore, which was quite beautiful. I'm staying at an inn famous for its cooking, and it was really quite a delicious meal. It's also a restaurant, so there are actually people who came in just to eat at the restaurant who weren't staying at the inn. But the building itself seems kind of old, and I was actually thinking, I think I'm staying in buildings from pretty much every decade in Japan. I don't know the decades of everything, but everything, I was staying in a building from the 1920s a couple days ago, and I've been staying since in buildings definitely from like the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, 80s on up. Well, I'm not sure how many are from the 2000s. I think most are maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, maybe into the 80s. They all have a slightly different decor, and when they came out, they were the most probably up-to-date and trendy, but they've gotten a little bit old, and many maybe being run by the same people who were running them in the 50s and 60s. And in some places, it's clearly unclear if, when the proprietor passes away, if that inn will continue on or not. In thinking about these inns that I'm staying at and how they differ by decades, it got me thinking of, like, when you watch a period drama or something in Japan, everything seems to be like of the same era. But the Tokugawa era wasn't consistent throughout. There are probably trends there as well. So it made me wonder if people traveling, what type of inns did they have? Were they all the same? How do they vary from kind of a luxurious inn to a low-budget inn? I'd be curious to see what the different types of inns were available to pilgrims way back when, and how they differed, and what the different sort of levels of inns were during the Tokugawa period. Continue to see this sort of abandonment of the countryside. Today, I actually passed a couple of completely abandoned love hotels. I hadn't seen them before. As I mentioned, I've seen an abandoned bowling alley, pachinko parlors, and now hotels for couples are disappearing as well. There are just not many young people out in the countryside. In planning the Ohenro, there are sections where there are no hotels, sometimes 10, 20 kilometers or more. so that you kind of have to plan your trip around, should I go this extra distance or should I come up, do a little bit less today? And you kind of have to work around these sections where you can't really find a place to stay. Had I pushed a little bit farther yesterday, gone maybe an extra 10K, then today I might have been able to go the 20K to the next hotel. Then after that would have had it kind of a couple of medium days. Tomorrow would be kind of a shorter day as well, but the following day for me is going to be really long. I think I might have bitten off more than I can chew. But because of where Temple 60 is up in the mountains, it's almost a full day hike, so you kind of have to come up before that one and you have to get out after that one. You can't start on your way up it. To get to the starting point for Temple 60, I need to go really far in a couple of days.